This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, what an honor and a privilege to have with us and back by popular demand, Michael Finch. He is the president of the David Horowitz Freedom Center and the author of his collection of poems titled Finding Home. Michael Finch, welcome to the Glazov Gang.
Thank you, Jamie. It's great to be back.
Well, look, Mike, congratulations. You wrote an article for the American Thinker, Why Trump Will Win. Trump won, and you've been credited for that. There was an article in the Christian Post that credited 7 main people for predicting it, and you were one of them. So I just want to congratulate you.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to the country. I think we've got a respite. We've been saved for, at least temporarily saved from impending doom. So I was happy to make the prediction, and a lot of people felt it. Certainly, there's a lot of people we know on Fox and some of the writers who saw it coming. But it was nice to kind of make that prediction, and obviously the country really dodged a bullet.
Mike, in your article, Why Trump Will Win at American Thinker, man, you said a lot of profound things. And looking back, you hit bingo on every single one. Let's start with one of them. In that article, you said that when they said to Trump, are you going to accept the winner of this election, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, I'll think about it. I'll look into it at the time. And a lot of people were upset with that. But in your article, you said that that was a turning point in a positive way. And you talked about decisiveness and boldness. And that's what the American people were reading into. And that Trump had read the mood. Can you expand on that? That was such a profound point.
Jamie, that was the defining moment, I thought. When he said that, everyone's in uproar. There's Trump. He's going again. He's blustering. He's, doesn't know what he's saying. He's the unprofessional politician, including a lot of conservatives. Everyone was just aghast at this awful thing that he said. He's not accepting the peaceful transfer of power. He's not respecting the democracy. I think in everyone's heart, everyone knows that if Hillary had won and it had been done in a fair and convincing way, of course Donald Trump would have accepted the results. But he wasn't going to answer that question the way everyone expected him to, or what we've all been conditioned to say is, yes, of course, we'll roll over, we'll bend over, we'll accept whatever the left or what the Democrats throw to us. What he was saying is I'm going to wait until the results. We know that there's a lot of election fraud. We know that the governor of Virginia is trying to get felons to vote. We know that illegals were registering to vote. We know that there's these rampant problems across the country of voter fraud. And we also know that the system has been rigged. Trump was taking a shot at the system. Okay, he's saying, look, we've got problems. The Democratic Party rigged the system in the primary against Bernie Sanders. That was proven through all the WikiLeaks. So what Trump is saying, look, we have a rigged system, we have all this voter fraud, we have the media and the whole elite system, the media, the leadership in both political parties, much of the leadership in the Republican Party, going against him and using whatever means is necessary to defeat him.
Yeah.
So when he paused and said, you know what, I'll wait and see. I thought it was brilliant. Everyone thinks he made a mistake, but he was appealing to the millions of Americans who were saying, the system is broken. And I think it was an incredibly bold and decisive move. And anyway, I know you want to follow up.
No, absolutely, Mike. And look, and to follow up on that, in your article, you crystallized this theme that the American people not just wanted an indictment of Obama, they wanted an indictment of the entire bipartisan political class.
Absolutely.
Now, you made that point. Expand on that a bit. Americans want they want the leftists out, but they also want the establishment out on both sides.
Look how quick. This man, he won out of 16, 17 candidates. He won. He got more votes than anyone else had ever before. He won fair and square by the rules set by the Republican Party. And then you have the leadership, Mitt Romney, the Bush family, and all these, the Never Trumpers that came out, the leaders, many, George Will and many of Jonah Goldberg and many others who said, we're not going to accept this, including John Kasich and Jeb Bush, who had actually broke their word. They gave the pledge, which Donald Trump also agreed to, that they would accept the winner of the nomination. And then they all kind of they broke their word on that. And that's just symptomatic of the problems that we've seen over the last, not just 8 years, 16 years, the last couple of decades, that we have a bipartisan kind of, Ted Cruz used the term cartel. But he's right. In a sense, that's right. There's a kind of a cartel and these elite grip on power in Washington. Look, the country is not working. We're sliding backward. Trump uses the terms, we're losing. Well, we are losing. We're losing in every aspect, economically, foreign policy. And that's a bipartisan consensus. The Republicans have controlled the Congress now for a number of years. We had the White House for 8 years. And all we see is rising debt, endless wars overseas, our culture and we don't have a border. We're losing our country. We're losing our sovereignty. Americans in their heart know that that's bipartisan. That's not just Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. It's also the Bushes and the leadership in the Republican Party. So here you have a guy coming from the outside who's saying, look, we need to drain the swamp, that was another brilliant statement, saying of his, which he came on kind of late in the campaign. But the anger of the American people was, you're right, it was directed at both parties. Bernie Sanders tapped into the same anger.
Yeah.
Now, he completely capitulated after they cheated him out of a primary. But that anger was there. And I talked about that in the article, too, that those Bernie Sanders, just because Bernie bent over doesn't mean all the millions of people that he got to believe in him, that the system needed to be changed. They didn't stop believing that the system is broken.
Mike, you said something else in your article that I really think needs bringing up here. Trump doesn't play by the usual rules. Now, Anderson Cooper and Rachel Maddow and Don Lemon, they were so upset about this every night. But that tapped into something about not playing by the rules. And that turned out to be Trump's strength. Can you touch on that a bit?
Well, and George Will and many of the conservatives, right? I mean, there's, Megyn Kelly, a lot of the people at Fox had a problem with Donald Trump's style, the use of his words and everything else. Look, he's unconventional. He's not a politician. We know that. Not only that, he comes at it, he's the guy from Queens, right? He's talking to people like he's sitting at a bar in Queens. You say he's kind of the Archie Bunker running for president. That Donald Trump isn't a very accomplished person. He's a very successful businessman. He's went to, Ivy League schools, but he never lost touch with the grassroots, the people on the assembly line, or the people at the construction, the truck driver, the guy who's laying cement for him. He never lost touch. So when he came into this and he starts breaking everything in the kind of the bull in the china shop, everyone's like, this is not how you're allowed to run for. Who says that's not how you're allowed to run for office? Andrew Jackson and many of the people who had run for office in this country were unconventional. He's not the first one. He's the first one in a long time, and he's the first Republican who's willing to say, you know what, I'm going to break the rules. We're not going to play by these nice Marcus of Queensberry, bend over and let the Democrats call us wherever we want. His breaking the PC barrier, I think, will be one of his great lasting legacies, in addition, of course, to winning the White House.
Yeah, Mike, I want to, just before we go, I want to touch on two things, please, a bit briefly, because we got to fit it into the time we have left. Mike, I wept when Trump came out and gave his victory speech that night. It was such a beautiful moment after Obama being in power for 8 years. In the beginning of the evening, I got very afraid when Hillary took the lead in Florida, but then all of a sudden Trump took the lead back, and what a night. Just tell us that evening for you briefly, what you experienced.
Well, it's like you kind of prepare for the worst. I felt like he was going to win, and then I did one of those interactive maps over the weekend, and I saw him winning Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. I didn't think he was going to win Nevada, Colorado, the Southwest because of the rising immigration, but I did think he was going to sweep the Great Lakes. He didn't win Minnesota, so I felt it. I felt he's going to win. He's going to win, and I mapped it out, but you don't know. And I saw the numbers, Florida, he's behind in Pennsylvania, and you start to get that dread. And then it turned, and it's complete euphoria. I was beside myself, and I thought, America's been saved, at least temporarily. America's been saved. Yeah. I haven't felt this good since 1980, which was the first election I got to vote in when Ronald Reagan won. Well,
Mike, look, I don't want to put you on the spot. I got a few calls, people telling me you were at a hotel room with a beer in each hand, running through the halls, banging on people's doors, or this was somebody else?
Look, just because the liquor cabinet was empty that night doesn't mean I ran into the hallways, Jamie. Let's not exaggerate. But there was a little,
All right.
Screaming, a self-celebration. There's
All
no
right.
doubt. I was feeling, I was on the East Coast. I pretty much fell asleep before he gave the acceptance.
Okay, Mike, what a prophet that you are. You predicted this. I want to end on this, Michael. I read all your poetry. I love your book, Finding Home, the collection of your poems. But even in this article, as in all your articles, you have a beautiful, very touching turns of phrase, your wordings, and one always feels there's a lot of poetry even in your prose. And you have a very beautiful poem, My Wisconsin, and as well as many other poems, but that's one of the poems that really sticks out for me. But in terms of, I'm synthesizing this here in terms of what I know about you, that Trump's victory, a bit of the saving of the republic, a bit of saving what makes America great. And in your poetry and in your writing, there's very much a longing for a beautiful America of nature and of democracy, all these things. Can you talk a bit about that, of what really moves you in your poetry and how it's connected to this victory?
Well, it is a passion. Obviously, you write with passion, Jamie. I know you do as well. But there is a sense of kind of a longing for a lost America, and I think we all feel that. And I think that's really, if you look at the Rust Belt states, the blue collar, the disaffected working class, not just the white working class, but he increased the black vote over from what Mitt Romney had gotten to. There's a lot of disaffected people in this country, the forgotten man. So he was speaking to that, and I sense that. I want to see America return to kind of that, make America great, but that speaks to us. America's lost something.
Yeah.
And if we don't turn this thing around, we're going to continue to lose something. On Wisconsin specifically, Wisconsin was the state, when Wisconsin went red, that's when you really started to feel, so that had a particular meaning to me. I kind of felt Wisconsin was going to go that way. So there is that kind of longing. I thought, he went to the heartland. He went, and I write a lot of my poetry is about the Great Lakes and the heartland, as you know. And it's the heartland that turned this election.
Yeah. Michael Finch, all great things come to an end, including a conversation with Michael Finch. Michael, we're thinking about the byline for this interview, and there's president of the Freedom Center, godfather of the Glazov Gang, but I'm also thinking prophetic poet.
I'll leave any of those would work. I'm most proud of being godfather of the Glazov Gang, Jamie,
okay.
As you know.
Yeah.
But any of those, I'll let you pick. I'll let you pick which one you feel is most appropriate.
Michael, it was a pleasure. Thanks for your prediction and everything you do for America. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jamie.
Look
forward to it again.
And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you read Michael Finch's article, Why Trump Will Win, at American Thinker. Google My Wisconsin, one of his most beautiful poems, and also go to Amazon.com and get his book, Finding Home, a wonderful collection of his poetry. And thank you for joining us. Remember, we are a fan-generated program. Go to JamieGlazov.com to support the show, and your conscience should be hurting you if you are not a subscriber to the YouTube channel of the Glazov Gang. Good night.